The Auburn Tigers travel to Vandy to open up SEC play. Let's talk about it on this Auburn Baseball preview show.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, Auburn family? What is up, Up-Tempo family? I'm your guy, Blake Lane, here to talk a little Auburn baseball. The Auburn Tigers improved to 13-3 overall with an 8-2 victory over the Troy Trojans up in Huntsville. The Trash Pandas put on a great event, and Connor McBride was spectacular. A great midweek guy, a guy that transferred from JUCO, out California guy. He comes into Auburn, he finds himself that midweek guy. Really, really phenomenal. Just made one mistake right there in the first, but after that, he was lights out all night. I want to give a quick shout out to the bullpen. You had Armstrong, Cannon, Bauman get 7 Ks, only give up 1 run over 4 innings. I thought they were just phenomenal, and that's really what you want to see going into SEC play is those guys stepping up and just continuing to do big things like they have all year. So obviously the offense was there. You're without Bobby Pierce. Ike Irish steps out in the right field, Carter Wright, and those guys behind the dish, man. It's really, really nice to have, a couple of guys when Ike has to go out there. You got Strickland back there. You got Carter Wright back there. And you got guys that are sick and you can move pieces around. I think that's really special. Something special about this Auburn baseball team is the depth that they have this year to be able to do that. And hopefully Bobby Pierce is back to open SEC play. And I think he will be. And that'll be a nice addition to have back, one of your key core guys in that locker room and one of your star players and one of your better offensive players, which I think we will definitely need as we travel to Nashville. So a lot of big events going on in Nashville for the Auburn Tigers this weekend. But look, Tuesday night, I want to give a big shout out to Caden Green stepping in, Cooper Weiss getting the night off, Caden Green stepping in and playing lights out at short, getting a quick flip double play right there to open things up in the first, and hits a bomb on the night. Joined the party, joined the home run club. I thought that was awesome to see. I thought Caden played really well. A guy that I really wanted to see get going before we get into SEC play was Chris Stanfield. And to see him have 2 hits on the night, a ribby, a double, I thought that was really, really good to see and get his swing kind of get it going and have some positivity going into Nashville Friday night. So we got a big test this week, and we all know that SEC baseball is equivalent to AA baseball. It's the cream of the crop. It's the best conference in the land. So every week is really difficult, but to have to open up and you go to a Tim Corbin club and you're on the road and they're one of the best programs in the country, and they've won national championships. They've played in the big games in Omaha, and they've, produced produced top-notch talent, not only on the bump. They just produced an Enrique Bradfield. Having to replace a guy like that's tough to do. So the big names that have come out of that program, they just keep pushing them out. And Tim Corbin is, considered to be, I guess you could say, some call him the Nick Saban of college baseball. And he just keeps winning and winning and winning. So, and this year, there's no different. They're 15-3 on the year. They're 12-3 at home, 3-0 in neutral sites. So this Vandy team, they can hit the baseball. They're a well-rounded club. I think coming into this season, the thing that they really had to key in on to be really special was pitching. And right now, it looks like they're doing that. We'll start there. They're pitching. They got a 4.32 ERA. That's 59th best in the country. And they got a 1.23 whip, which is 19th best in the country. So, like I said, when I mentioned last week, the closer you see that whip to 1 or under 1, that's really what you want to see. So that's good stuff there. And then a couple of guys I wanted to just touch on while we talk about this Vanderbilt pitching staff is their starting rotation, and JD Thompson, he just pitched against Indiana in the midweek. He's 3-0 with a 2.49 ERA, and hitters are hitting 213 off of him. So I doubt you I doubt you see him this weekend because he just threw against Indiana. But a guy that you're really going to have trouble with, in my opinion, is Devin Futrell. He's 2-0 on the year, 3.68 ERA, and batters are hitting 225 off of him. A great piece for this Vanderbilt pitching staff. And he's going to be a tough one. And I think that's why Auburn has got to come out sticks on fire. We can't struggle to score, can't leave runners on base. But another guy, Carter Holton, 2-0 on the year, 5 ERA. Hitters are hitting 209 off of him. Bryce Cunningham, another one, 2-0, 2.61 ERA. Hitters are hitting 192 off of him. So it looks like their starters are really, really good. And they don't give up many runs, but the games that they have given up runs, they've also put up 14, 15 runs. And this Vanderbilt team can hit the baseball. This Vanderbilt team can hit. And I feel like they can hit every year. I know last year was a little bit of a struggle for them. I felt like watching them offensively. And I guess you could say the last 2 years, because they haven't made it out of regional play in the last 2 years. But that's very rare for the Vanderbilt Commodores. But pitching has been there, and it just seems like the offense has not been there. But this year, look, they were down earlier in a big time matchup with Texas. They were down like 11-3. They come back and won 14-11. So the offense is there. They got some guys that can really swing it. And as a team, they're hitting 314. That is 34th best in the country. The OBP is 419. That is 52nd best in the country. And slugging percentage is 519 for 46th best in the country. So this is an all-around offense, top 50 club in the country. And you know what you're going to get. They love to swipe bags. So I think that's going to be a big part of Chase Allsup Friday night. If you got to stay out of walks. You got to stay out of giving up freebies and hitting guys. And that's going to be a big key in this series. This 3-game set is Auburn can't give up the freebies. No 2-out walks. I think especially Chase, you got to work ahead and stay ahead on Friday night, 6 p.m. Because this opening game, this is going to be crucial. Really crucial. I feel like if you can get that Friday night game, you set yourself up to win this series. And so, a couple of guys that I do want to point out offensively for the Vanderbilt Commodores is their catcher, Alan Espinal, a 355 average, a 453 OBP, and a 613 slugging percentage. He is second on the team in hits, tied for second on the team in hits. He's got 4 doubles on the year and 4 bombs. And then obviously RJ Austin playing first base. He's got a 361 average, a 442 OBP, and a 443 slugging percentage. He leads the team in hits with 26. He's got 3 doubles on the year, 1 bomb, and 20 RBIs. And then the DH, Camden Koziel, with a 344 average, 432 OBP, 500 slugging percentage, with 22 hits, tied for second. He's got 4 doubles, 2 homers, 15 RBIs. So look, that's just a couple of guys, and their outfield can absolutely smash. I didn't even bring those guys into the equation tonight, but this team can hit. They like to put up a lot of runs, and I'm going to pull up their schedule right quick. And what I mean by they love to hit. So they started the year off with Florida Atlantic. They put up 12 in game 1, 11 in game 3. They did lose to Dayton, and they lost game 2 to Florida Atlantic 5-4. They lost to Dayton 8-5. They beat Eastern Kentucky. They beat Gonzaga 12-2 in 8 innings. 4-3 over Gonzaga in game 2. They lost to Gonzaga game 3 9-8. They beat Indiana State. Looks like in the midweek 20-4 in 7 innings. They put up runs. They beat Evansville 7-3. Then they played in the 2024 Astros Foundation College Classic. out in Houston, and they beat Louisiana 7-4. That's a quality win. That's a big time dub. Really, really solid team down there in Lafayette, Louisiana. Then they beat Houston 3-1, and like I mentioned, the comeback over number 15 Texas 14-11. They beat Eastern Michigan 6-2. Illinois State 14-9, Illinois State 7-2, Illinois State 4-0, and then they had a big time weekend this midweek with a 13-5 dub over Indiana. So they can hit it. They like to score runs. They like to put guys in motion. You're going to see a lot of hit and run action from Tim Corbin. You're going to see him play small ball. He's one of those old school guys, and they're going to get guys in motion. They're going to try to put as many guys in scoring position as they possibly can. So we look at Auburn here, and you're going with Chase Allsup on Friday night, Carson Myers on Saturday, and Joseph Gonzalez on Sunday in Game 3. So we find out that Gonzo is okay. I think that was a reset mentally that he didn't pitch last weekend. He got roughed up against UConn. He gave up 6 innings in the first. He didn't even make it out of the first inning against UConn. Granted, that was a really, really nice hitting UConn team. That was a tough series. Auburn took 2 out of 3. So I think you just go with the mental reset. Maybe they tried to change something with the sinker ball. Maybe he wasn't getting that action. I know in the offseason they tried to mix a few things up there, and maybe he was just leaving it up a little bit. They try to change something there. I don't know, but he's going Sunday. That's positive. You know, he's still got that dog. You want him pitching to soft contact, getting that sinker down, get it down, and looking for that ground ball strikeout action. That's what you want from Gonzo. You don't want the fly balls. And like when I was down in Jacksonville against Wichita State, he threw the ball well. He just made a mistake. Got a couple runners on. I think he walked the guy. Guy got a hit. And then he left the ball middle of the plate up, and guy hit it over to the Jag Stadium. So when I look Friday night, the key to this series, in my opinion, is Chase Allsup. And if you can have Chase put together a performance like he did against Austin Peay, I thought Chase pitched tremendously against Austin Peay. And I know the stat line, like we mentioned in the recap, Dustin and I, it didn't look great on the stat line. All right. It looked good, but it didn't look great. But if you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about with Chase also. He was finding the glove. He was working ahead in counts. He was throwing the fastball early for strikes. The changeup was working. The deuce was working. That is the Chase Allsup that we have to see Friday night at 6 p.m. in Nashville. We got to see a guy that can't be giving up freebies, working behind in counts. He can't get in those 3-1 counts, those 3-0 counts. He's got to find that fastball to the mitt, like Butch Thompson always talks about. Paint the corners in and out like he did against Austin Peay. Keep that changeup down in the zone. Don't bring it up. So I think if he can give you 5+ innings and he can get to this bullpen like a John Armstrong, like a Will Cannon, like a Tanner Bauman, I think you set yourself up to win this Friday night game. And if you win the Friday night game, like I mentioned earlier, I think you set yourself up to win one of those last 2. And if you can take 2 out of 3 from Vanderbilt, that is a win. That is a win. When you go to the number 9 ranked team in the nation, and you're on the road, you want to take 2 out of 3. I know everybody falls in love with the sweep. You want to take 3. You want to start out hot in SEC play. On the road, give me 2 out of 3. All else fails, give me 1 and not get swept. At the end of the day, you don't want to get swept. So give me 1 if all else fails. But we have to come out and hit the baseball. All right. Carson Myers going Saturday. He got roughed up against Austin Peay. Gave up 7 hits. Wasn't his best. It was on the radio. Dustin was there. He said the stuff Carson didn't have it. And that's the first time that we've really seen that from Carson this season, right? So he's probably been our most consistent guy. And you're going to need one of those performances from him like he had against Virginia to keep it close and a low-scoring game. And I thought he pitched really well against Virginia. He had a couple walks. I think he walked 3 or 4 guys that day. But other than that, I thought he pitched really well against Virginia, and he gave us a chance to win. And that's what you got to have Saturday from Carson Myers, is you got to have him give you a chance to win. Another guy that we need 5, 6 innings from. We can't go out here in Nashville against Vandy and have a guy go 2 2/3. We can't have Chase Allsup, Carson Myers, or Joseph Gonzalez go give us 2 2/3, or not even make it out of the first inning. If we do that, we're set up for disaster. We're set up for disaster. That's not a winning recipe. And when you get to Sunday to Gonzo, hopefully it's we're up 2-0, or it's a 1-1 series, and you're looking for that game 2, that rubber match victory, and Gonzo is on his A game. That's what you're really hoping for. So I'm not worried about Gonzo yet. I'm not. Sometimes you just don't have it on the bump, and it might take him. He's trying to knock some rust off. The dude hadn't pitched in 364 days, and he's pitched in 3 games this year, 2 games. So it might just be a little rust. And it's been a minute since he's faced guys that aren't on his team. So hopefully he gets back into the swing of things. We absolutely have to have Joseph Gonzalez if this Auburn team wants to push forward, push through a regional, super regional, and on to Omaha, and you want to actually compete in Omaha. Got to have Joseph Gonzalez. He's a major, major piece. So getting over to this offense for the Auburn Tigers, my opinion, one of the best in the country. I think this is one of the most talented offensive clubs in the country, starting with Cooper Weiss at the leadoff. His ability to be able to bunt for a hit the ball to all parts of the field, work counts as a leadoff. He doesn't strike out at a high clip, and he can swipe bags, and he can make things happen. He can put the hit and run action on. He can just really cause havoc on the base pads, and that is a hell of a leadoff to have. And hopefully you get Bobby Pierce back. Mason Mainers has been a guy that has been absolutely ripping the cover off of the baseball. And he's another one of those guys. Mason Mainers can lay the bunt down. Kid is always looking to bunt for the hit, man. That's really impressive, especially after he comes up and hits a ball in the gap for a double or a triple. And his next AB, he's laying a ball fair or foul down the third baseline looking for the base hit bunt. And he can also hit the deep ball. So, he's been a really, really great addition through the transfer portal. And like I mentioned, Ike Irish, Bobby Pierce, getting Bobby back, putting him out there in right field, having Ike behind the plate. That's going to be key in this series. Got to have Ike Irish behind the plate. I know Carter Wright has played really, really well, and I've been really impressed with Carter Wright. I thought he's taken just quality at bats. He's hit the baseball, but you got to have Ike in this series to be able to control the runners on the pads and not let them run on you all day and things like that. So, the guy that I really like to see get going was Chris Stanfield Tuesday night up in Huntsville. I thought he had a phenomenal game, and I was really, really pleased to see that and him getting on track, hitting the baseball hard, and you see him, hitting that double and getting dirty at 2B and driving in a run. And that's the things you want to see from Chris Stanfield. You got to have Chris Stanfield on the bags. It puts this Auburn team in motion. Another guy that can swipe bags, and he can put the hit and run in motion, and he just a threat on the base pads. And I haven't even talked about Cooper Murray yet, or Christian Hall. Cooper Murray has been absolutely locked in at the plate. Kids seeing beach balls. You can come in, try to come in on his hands if you want. If you want to come in on the hands on the inner half, I dare you. It's probably best to keep it away from him. So have fun pitching to Cooper McMurray. That guy's locked in the zone. And Christian Hall, when I did watch the film for Auburn Baseball, I showed you some quality ABs. And Christian Hall was hitting the ball hard the other way. Guys were trying to keep it away from him on that outer half. He was just staying close, locked in, just hitting the ball the other way hard. I know they didn't fall for hits, but it ultimately led to a guy in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, missing a spot and going in and belt high, and Christian Hall parked it to tie the game. So this Auburn lineup is very talented. And I think when you look 1 through 9 in SEC play, I mentioned this the other night with, I think in years past there was some gaps the deeper you got down in the lineup. And there was some swing and miss action the deeper you got down on the lineup. And Auburn would run into a base hit, back to back outs, trying to flip it back to the top of the lineup. But this year, there's so much depth and so many guys in that lineup that if somebody's not getting it done at that bottom half, you can pinch hit, bring somebody into the game, and you got a Javon Hernandez on the bench. You got a Caden Green on the bench. Like I said, you got a Carter Wright on the bench who's been swinging it well. There's just so many guys that you have on the bench this year that can get it done. Derek Fabian, he didn't have his best game Tuesday night, but he's made the transition from 3B to 2B, and that's allowed Gavin Miller, who wasn't the everyday guy, to come off the bench this year and get some action at third. And I think he has got to be in this lineup. I think Gavin Miller is the dude at 3B. I think his stick has to be in this lineup, whether he hits eighth, seventh, second, whatever. The kid hits the baseball and he hits it hard, and his ABs have got to be in this lineup if Auburn wants to get things going in SEC play. So Friday night lineup, obviously it's going to look pretty similar to what it's looked all year, but I think Gavin Miller gets to start at third, Cooper Weiss at short, Derek Fabian at second, Cooper McMurray at first, Ike behind the plate. You're going to go with Mason in left, Stanfield in center, Bobby in right, Chase Allsup on the bump, and I think you will have Christian Hall at the DH slot. So I think we got to go in and bust the baseball. We got to score. We can't leave, runners on base and have runners on second and third, less than 2 outs and not score. You got to capitalize on those situations in this matchup, in this series. And you got to hope to take 2 out of 3, man. You got to go up there and win 2 games, win a series, and get hot in SEC play, because last year you started 5-10 through your first 15 in SEC play, and then you had to turn it around in the second half. And you don't want to start like that this year. We were a Bryson Ware home run away and a big deficit against Mississippi State from it really being a tragic season last year and not making the postseason. And once all that happened, that comeback against Mississippi State, Bryson goes yak, and you get some momentum and you start winning baseball games, and LSU comes to town and you take 2 out of 3, and you're I thought you were competitive against Paul Skeens, and things like that. You really started picking up momentum, but it's not how we wanted to start. And I think this Auburn team is much, much better than we were a year ago. I believe that. So go up to Nashville, handle business, no errors, none of that. What we saw against Austin Peay, none of that in game 2. We got to make the routine plays. We got to help this pitching staff out. We have to. All right. Herbert Holtz, Cam Tilley out the bullpen. I think those are 2 big pieces. Cam Tilley is electric. Fastball's electric. Everything about him. He's got that dog. Herbert Holtz, you're going to have to come in a big spot, make some big pitches, make it happen. I think this Auburn team gets 2 out of 3 against Vandy in Nashville. I like Auburn to win the series. I like this Auburn baseball team. Thank y'all for joining me. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. The Auburn Tigers in Nashville. The Vandy Whistler will be live. I will be on YouTube live streaming the game. Catch me out. It's my birthday weekend, so get me a dub, Auburn baseball. Get me 2 dubs in Nashville. I appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next one. Catch me Friday night, live stream, 6 p.m. right here on YouTube. War Damn Eagle, baby.